Today's topic is the mint moth, and you might be wondering, why are we talking about the mint moth with rosemary and thyme plants? Well, interestingly enough, I recently learned that rosemary and thyme are both in the mint family, which is called Lamiaceae. Now, you've got your true mints, which are peppermint and spearmint. Those are also in the mint family Lamiaceae, but they're in a different genus. They're in the Mentha genus. To throw back to freshman biology with me, you've got kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, which for mint is Lamiaceae. And then we've got the genus, which is Mentha for true mints, and then for rosemary, it's Salvia. Thyme, it's Thymus, and then basil, it's Ocimum. So there's your taxonomy breakdown you didn't know you wanted. At first I thought, is it really worth including that in this video? And then I thought, yeah, I think so, because this is the kind of information that makes you a better gardener, just knowing the relationships between your plants. It helps with like pest and disease and mold identification and all that. So just to give you an example, I thought basil and mint, like spearmint, were completely unrelated. But earlier this spring, I saw my basil struggling with downy mildew, which is this water mold that turns their leaves black, they fall off, and it kills your plants. And then later in the summer, I had my spearmint plant also have the same issue, where we had a cool wet spell, and the leaves started turning black and falling off and dying, and it was spreading throughout the whole plant. And I thought, those look like the same thing. And then with this video, I learned that they're actually in the same family, so it makes a lot of sense. Now, if you're growing rosemary, you might have noticed it's pretty easy to grow. There's not a lot of pests or disease to target it. And so the main concern is not with really keeping it alive so much as keeping it usable for your kitchen or keeping it pretty for your front landscaping or something. And that is where this mint moth comes in. Now, unfortunately, the mint moth flies over the gardener's perfect growing season, April through September, and it's gonna lay its eggs on rosemary and thyme plants. And you'll see a couple signs if you've been visited. So the most obvious sign is gonna be dead leaves. So for example, back here, you can see a little bit of deadness. Just kind of throughout the plant, there's a general hint of dead leaves. Now, the second sign that you've got a mint moth is you'll see these webs in your plants, and they kind of look like silkworm or bagworm webs. So if we zoom in a little bit back here, there's a little better shot, and you might be able to make out some of those little tiny black pellets. Those are called caterpillar frass. It's just caterpillar poop, fancy name for it. And then if you look a little bit closer, I might be able to find a caterpillar, but we're gonna go ahead and just show you one that I've already captured. It's actually really funny. Leading up to this video, I needed some caterpillars and I didn't wanna have to rely on collecting them the day of. And so I actually collected these little boogers like 5 days ago. And I've just been farming them, raising them in this little plastic container and feeding them little sprigs of rosemary. So I've got these little snippers. I just go snip off a little piece of rosemary, and in there I've got 3 little caterpillars. Anyway, I've been keeping these caterpillars alive just for the sake of this video so I can show you what they look like. If we zoom in, obviously you can see the rosemary I've been feeding it, and then you've got some of the caterpillar frass here on the top left is a good example of that. And boom, there we are. That little booger is about 1 inch long, and that is a mint moth caterpillar. So if you see these on your mint plants or your thyme plants or your rosemary plants, pick them off and kill them because they will absolutely demolish your leaves. So just for the sake of completion, we'll show you what it looks like on the thyme as well. They must really love thyme because this is all the work of a mint moth caterpillar. They've just stripped those stems. We've got a good example in here. Kind of in there is just all webbed together, and it kind of makes the leaves stick together and the stems stick together. You can see a bunch of kind of frass hanging in the web there. That's what it does to your thyme plants. So you can see how destructive this caterpillar is. To give you another idea, just over the last 5 days with these 3 little caterpillars in here, just trying to keep them alive, I've had to feed them like 2 full sprigs. So this is like half a sprig. I've fed them like 4 of these just in 5 days, and that's only 3 caterpillars. So that takes us to the final portion of this video. How do you manage the mint moth? So I've got a few ideas that you can use. Number 1 is to physically remove the caterpillars by hand. With a bush this size, not a big deal. If you've got a huge landscape shrubbery of rosemary plants, then wait until like the second or third idea. The second option you have is to prune off damaged stems. This is probably what you're gonna do for larger plants. If I do it on this, I'm gonna run out of plant pretty quickly, so I kind of just prune off some of the really bad areas. But if you're gonna prune off big stems, don't just throw them in your compost pile. I would recommend burning them or whatever, just to get rid of the whatever eggs or caterpillars are already on those plants. And then the third and final option, if you've really got a big patch of rosemary and you just don't want to prune individual stems and you don't want to pick off the caterpillars by hand, there is a spray you can use. It's called Bacillus thuringiensis. Now, I don't typically like to spray things, especially herbs, because I don't want it to affect the flavor. And also, you know, I'm an organic gardener. I don't want to spray anything on my garden. But Bacillus thuringiensis, BT, is actually a natural bacteria found in soil and food. So this is not some chemical compound constructed in a lab that's meant to, you know, kill everything that moves. This is actually just a naturally occurring thing, and it's been used for over 30 years just to control insects. Now, the interesting part is that it operates through a protein mechanism. Instead of just a chemical compound that is basically a poison, it uses this protein mechanism present in caterpillars, and this bacteria interacts with the caterpillars in a toxic way and kills them. So the benefit of this is that it does not harm non-target organisms. So lucky for us, humans and mammals don't have that mechanism that causes toxicity, so we don't have to worry about that. And then on the other end, you don't have to worry about killing the bees either. You can actually spray this while there's bees and butterflies present, and it's not going to kill them. The only way that BT is harmful to bees is if you, for some reason, mix it into sugar water and feed it to them. Now, the only downside is more of a use thing, and that is that BT breaks down pretty quickly in direct sunlight. So you've got about 3 good days of use or effectiveness out of it, and then you've got to reapply it. So personally, I've never used this stuff before, but I would imagine if you start to see kind of an infestation of caterpillars on your plants, you just go spray it and it kills them all, and then you're good for a few days. I don't imagine that it's something you need to keep sprayed constantly on your plants all season. Well, there you go. That is all I've got for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. I know it's kind of a niche video, but I wanted to give you some information on how to basically keep your rosemary and thyme plants looking good instead of just having them stripped down to nothing and you don't know what's causing it. So with that, keep growing yourself. I'll catch you in the next one.